Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. There was one story that came out of SEC Media Days, though, that I do think is absolutely worth discussing. And it actually involved a gentleman that was not at SEC Media Days that has been at every SEC Media Days, the last 16, 17 years? That's Nick Saban. So Nick Saban, of course, you may have heard of him. 7-time national champion, won a bunch of natties at Alabama, retired a few years ago. I think 7 is right. It might be more than that. Who knows? We all lost track. We all ran out of fingers just like Saban did. But he retires from Alabama. He takes the job at ESPN with College Game Day. He was at SEC Media Days last year. This year, he did not show up. Now, that might not be noteworthy, except for what one of his former players said. So Greg McElroy hosts a very popular radio show in Birmingham, Alabama, Jocks Radio with Cole Kublik, my buddy. I'll be just transparent. I've been on the show many times, maybe not many, probably half a dozen. And I know Cole. I love Cole. I respect the hell out of Cole. I respect Greg too. I just don't really know him. But I bring it up because apparently there was quite a little bit of a conversation about Nick Saban on that show on Monday morning to lead SEC Media Days. Greg Sankey with Cole Kublik, and they had Paul Finebaum as a guest. Well, the topic of Nick Saban came up. Here is what Greg McElroy had to say about his former coach, Nick Saban. Quote, "This is a little bit out of left field, but the question was asked of me. A very much person in the know that I have a lot of respect for and have spent a lot of time around and just really, really admire. They seem to think Nick Saban's not done coaching. I had a similar reaction to you guys. Obviously, the insinuation is they're freaking out. He's pretty adamant that he thinks Nick Saban will be coaching again. Look, if it wasn't someone notable, I would have never said a word." So basically, Greg McElroy saying that someone close to Nick Saban told him that he believes that Nick Saban will, in fact, coach again. It's a heck of a headline. It's a heck of a story. It's a heck of a where could he possibly end up? I'll tell you this. I don't really see it happening. Okay. So listen, listen, first of all, McElroy's really good at what he does. Like I said, I don't really know him other than a few conversations I've had with him on the radio. But the one thing I'll say in his defense, like he is not a look at me, I'm going to say stuff just to make headlines kind of guy. I think if he said that, I truly do believe that the conversation was had with somebody who knows and is in Nick Saban's inner circle. But I do think there's a difference between Nick Saban being like, yeah, I would love to come back and coach college football, and actually doing it. By the way, producer Matt, I did just see the graphic on the screen of Nick Saban with a big question mark on his polo over there. So very good job on that. Look, like I said, there's a big difference between a guy saying, even behind the scenes, man, I miss it, and man, I am definitely coming back. And to me, there's no real explanation at this point as to why he would. 74 years old. Okay. So even God willing, even health-wise, what do you really have? 4 years, 3 years, 5 years? Like, you don't got 15 years left on the runway here. We talk about it with all these guys. Rick Pitino at St. John's. If Rick Pitino's in the best shape of any 72-year-old that we've ever seen on planet Earth, but how many more years does he really have left? Belichick. How many years does he have left? But Belichick's coming back at a different inflection point of he just wants to coach. He doesn't care where. And I think Nick Saban's a little bit different. I think the other thing, too, why did Nick Saban leave college football? It was because of the chaos of the portal and NIL. Well, nothing's really changed because that was part of the conversation as well. As I think McElroy said at some point, like, well, now that things are starting to calm down, are things really calming down? One, we still have completely unregulated transfers. Now, again, we're working behind the scenes to try and, regulate that a little bit. But two, I understand that we have this $20.5 million cap. And oh, by the way, that's supposed to limit, spending in college football. as we've talked about, it's not going to. It's not going to limit spending in college football. It's not going to limit spending in college basketball. You can't stop filthy rich people, whether it's John Tyson at Arkansas, Cody Campbell at Texas Tech, Jimmy Rain at Auburn, whoever your big boosters are, Joe Kraft at Kentucky, Peter Worth at UConn. That's one of UConn's big boosters. If rich guys and girls want to spend money to make their football and basketball teams good, you can't stop them from doing it. You can't stop John Tyson. If John Tyson believes that some 5-star basketball player, it's worth $2.5 million, $3 million for them to endorse Tyson Chicken, you can't stop them from doing it. Michigan, who's the guy? Larry Ellison from Oracle, that basically him and his wife basically landed Bryce Underwood. If Larry Ellison says, I want to pay Bryce Underwood $5 million a year to endorse Oracle, you can't stop. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop it. So nothing has really changed other than that we've put in another set of rules that's just created another set of problems. The real reason to me, though, I actually couldn't believe this. So Paul Finebaum was on set when this conversation was happening, and I think Paul Finebaum somehow became the voice of reason on this topic. Here's what Paul Finebaum had to say about the situation when he was asked about it. First, he said it's a resounding no, and this is what he said. He said, Greg, you know Nick Saban better than I do, but I ran into somebody the other day who spends time with Saban in Florida, you can imagine where, and said that he is literally having the time of his life, and why wouldn't he? I'm much closer to Nick Saban. I'm much closer to Nick Saban's age than you are, and I can assure you, when you have everything you want and you start playing golf at the best golf clubs in America, and you start making friends who belong to even better golf clubs, and you make a lot of money for doing very little work on TV, the interest in doing what he walked away from is not very high. And this is the money quote to me from Paul Finebaum. He said, quote, he had a better situation in Alabama the day he left than anywhere he goes. Let's say it's next year. Now, I don't know if it's college or pros. Could he be talked into something in the NFL? But that last part is so important. I don't care about the golf stuff. There's only so much golf you can play. Finebaum's right, though. Whatever Saban misses about college football, the situation that he left at Alabama is a better situation than anywhere he's going to walk into next year. I mean, first of all, the realistic jobs that are going to be open next year, we got some Kentucky fans in the chat. I'm sure you'd love for Mark Stoops to be gone. I don't even know if you can get rid of Mark Stoops with that buyout, but Kentucky might be open. Don't think Nick Saban, with due respect, is rushing to be the next Kentucky Wildcats head coach. Arkansas, I know we said John Tyson's got a lot of money. I don't care how much chicken money there is out there. You can't convince Nick Saban to be the Arkansas head football coach. I don't see it. Florida State, I guess, could open. That's sort of intriguing. Florida State's kind of broke. I mean, they just are. They don't have the money to compete with the top schools in America. So you're going to pay Nick Saban $10 million a year and then, fully fund that $20.5 million plus whatever it takes on the side? Doesn't really add up. The one I will say, well, by the way, Auburn in theory could open up. Sorry, producer Matt. I don't think Nick Saban's going to Auburn. I mean, maybe he's a sick, twisted little puppy more than I thought, but I don't think he's going to Auburn. The only one that I think actually would be kind of interesting, like if Brian Kelly actually bottomed out this year at LSU, like if he went 5-7, which I don't think is going to happen, but again, given the schedule, I don't think it's like totally out of the realm of possibility. Like if Brian Kelly was terrible, I guess maybe I could see LSU, but again, is LSU's going to have to pay $60 million guaranteed to get Brian Kelly out of there? It ain't happening. And so it doesn't make sense. And again, he's going to go somewhere to rebuild things to hopefully get it to where it was at Alabama when he left. It doesn't make sense. The last thing I would say too with Saban, I think is pretty unique. His legacy is already set, and all he can do is hurt it by coming back. But put aside the fact he's 74 years old. And I was thinking about this, right? So we talked about Belichick earlier. Listen, Belichick, great coach, right? But I think we can all acknowledge, like, Belichick's legacy took a little bit of a hit after Tom Brady left. He wins 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady, has a great deal of success. Then Tom Brady leaves and immediately wins another Super Bowl. And what happens to Bill Belichick? He kind of stinks, and he ends up, they called it a resignation. He got fired, whatever. So Belichick, I think part of why he went to UNC is he just wants to coach. And I don't think it'll kill his legacy if he sucks at Carolina too. But if he's good at Carolina, I do think it helps his legacy. With Nick Saban, you go somewhere, anything short of a national championship kind of does hurt your legacy, doesn't it? Like, you're already the greatest coach in college football. When you're literally the greatest, there's nowhere to go but down. So to Finebaum's point, maybe there's a spot in the NFL, but again, he learned the hard way in the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, what does it matter? And the way Nick Saban coaches, even if he kind of calmed down and got soft over the last couple of years, I don't think he wants to coach a bunch of pros. I mean, we all heard the stories about, maybe not necessarily built for the pro game. So Nick Saban, great story, great quote from Greg McElroy, but don't think that Nick Saban is coming back to college. Don't think he's coming back to the pros. I'll say this, certainly made for a great narrative. It would make for a great narrative if he came back to Auburn or LSU as well, but I don't think either is happening. And sorry, Arkansas fans. No, I know John Tyson and the Walton family have a lot of money. Don't think he's going to be that next Arkansas coach either.